Wes here with Supreme Book Dealer, and 2023 was an amazing year for books, and I've read so many books, and I think I had a great time reading all throughout 2023, and I just want to share with you all my top 3 books that I've read in 2023. And as always, this is just my opinion, so if you don't agree, that's cool, I don't care. We'll start with one of my favorite books, and it is a sequel to a book that I read in 2021, and it is Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World. Absolutely loved reading this book. Do I think it was as good as the first book, which is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe? No, but I do think it is an adequate sequel. I think it picks up where the story left off. I think that we learn more about our protagonist, Aristotle. We learn more about Dante and all of the minor characters, the parents, the friends. It is a great extension of the first novel, and it continues to build those connections with these characters that we already love and we're already familiar with. Nothing outrageous happens. I mean, we do see a couple of really strong conflicts. I don't want to name them just in case you haven't read it, but and we see our protagonists overcoming those issues, and their love is definitely tested more in this book. But yeah, great sequel. Absolutely loved reading it. Would definitely recommend anyone who hasn't read it to check it out. This is probably my 3rd favorite book that I've read of 2023. Let's jump into my next one. This is number 2 on my list of my favorite books of 2023, and the last book was a sequel. This book is a prequel to one of my favorite books that I read 2 summers ago. So it is The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. And They Both Die at the End was an amazing book. I loved reading it. It's one of those books that I just sat there and read for a few hours and just loved the journey, just loved the ride. And this book is very similar to that. Again, in the same way that I felt about Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World. Do I think The First to Die at the End is better than it's the original book, They Both Die at the End? No, not even close, honestly. But I enjoyed the ride. We have some familiar characters, even though this is a prequel, which I thought was dope that the author, Adam Silvera, got to incorporate characters that we knew into this book that really happens before we even meet our beloved characters, Milo and Rufus. But we do meet 2 new teenagers, and it takes place in New York City like the first one did. Yeah, the setting is dope. The characters are dope. I didn't feel as much of a connection with these 2 characters as I did with Milo and Rufus in They Both Die at the End, but I did like the characters. I was empathetic. I did sympathize with them. So I enjoyed the book, but when it got close to the end, the pace, really picked up, and I was all in. I was going through the emotions. I was kind of scared. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I think that any book that can bring that emotion out of me, and it really only did that in the later half of the book, but first half was dope, building characters, we're understanding them, we're getting connected with them, all good stuff. But I really did enjoy this book. Being compared to the first one, They Both Die at the End, is a disservice to this book because I don't think it was gonna be better, but it's still a great book. I still recommend it. I still loved reading it. It's still my 2nd favorite book of 2023, and that goes a long way. I've read a ton of books this year, so for this to be my second favorite, that means that it's a good book. So yeah, my favorite book of 2023 is written by possibly my 2nd favorite author, right behind James Baldwin, and that is All American Boys by Jason Reynolds. And I love this book. Long Way Down is my favorite Jason Reynolds book. I think that that is a masterpiece. This is very close to that. We get two dual perspectives. We get the perspective of Rashad and we get the perspective of Quinn. Rashad is a young black boy who experiences police brutality. Quinn is a young white boy who watches Rashad get brutalized by the police. And both perspectives have their own complexities. Both characters have their own conflicts that they're dealing with. And there were times where I thought that Quinn's perspective was more thought-provoking and more engaging than Rashad's, but still, like, both of our protagonists they're dealing with some stuff, and I think that it's dope to kind of just see how this story unfolds. It's obviously a call to action for police brutality, something that I am an advocate for, so I think that this book is just dope. I can't speak more highly of this book. Like, it's definitely a book I would recommend. Definitely had a blast reading it, but also it was fun reading it, but it also really made me think and put a lot of issues and a lot of things into perspective. There were times where I read this and I was angry. There were times where I read this and I was sad. And any book that brings out those emotions is definitely a book that I would recommend. It's not just a book that you enjoy. It's not just a book you have fun with. It's a book that you're gonna think about, and it might at times leave a sour taste in your mouth. These were my favorite books of 2023. Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters of the world. The First to Die at the End, and my actual favorite, love this book, All American Boys by Jason Reynolds. If you see any of these three books at your local bookstore, read them. They're dope, they're amazing, and I think you would love reading them too. Once again, my name is Wes from Supreme Book Dealer, and that is my favorite books of 2023. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and if you want to continue discussing books, hit the comments section. And as always, if you want more book reviews and literary discussions, you can check me out at Supreme Book Dealer. As always, be well and keep reading. Peace.